Teach me, Lord, to praise you, Lord. Teach me, Lord, to praise.
Praise You, Lord is a Catholic Christian praise and worship radio ministry. Hi, my name is Jeffrey Zacharias. Please join us as we give praise, honor, and glory to our loving, awesome, and merciful God. He is loving, and He is merciful. Welcome to Praise You, Lord, episode number... Is this 136, Jackson?
I think it should be 136.
I think it is too. My goodness. You know, we've been pre-recording our broadcasts, and we've been doing them on Mondays, and we had something slated up for this Monday, and a few things happened. You couldn't make it, right, Jackson?
Nope, couldn't make it.
Our interns couldn't make it, and I said, let's do it on Saturday. And by the grace of God, we received an email from Emmet Cahill's people saying Emmet's going to be in town, and we are so excited to have him on the program because of this great timing. Emmet, how are you?
I'm doing great, Jeffrey. How are you?
Yes, doing great. So great to have you in again on this broadcast, Emmet. And since the last time, I guess it's been a year. It was last year, correct? That you were down here in Florida?
Yeah, the last time I was down in the area, it was pretty much this time last year. Kind of this time of year, I generally come down and catch up on my time. This time last year. So I usually kind of tour around this time of year down in places like Florida. So I love coming back, and I really enjoy it. Enjoy the audiences down there, and nice to be back again.
Well, the last time I think we may have spoken was face-to-face. I had gone to your show up in Palm Beach, and prior to the show, we had you in for a broadcast. Jackson, I don't know if you can you find out the? We like to use references, Emmet, because we have now, since we've spoken, we have a podcast that's become quite popular, and we can reference that first interview. So maybe Jackson can find that.
Yeah, I found it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Number 103 was the last interview with Emmet.
Okay, Praise You, Lord, number 103. If you'd like to hear that first interview, which really went really well, and I just felt like I hit it off with you, Emmet. I right from the beginning, I was like, this guy is a wonderful person, and I loved your music when I heard it recorded, but there was nothing like hearing you live. I mean, Emmet, you blew me away, man. Awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well,
yes.
Thank you very much. It's nice to hear, because sometimes it can be the other way. I heard the CD, and then I went to the live show, and it wasn't as good. So it's nice to hear a bit of role reversal there. That's good to know.
Yeah. Well, I in the brief conversation we've had just before we went on air here and did the pre-recording of our broadcast, Emmet, we had a quick conversation, you and I, just to let the people out there know. And we were doing a sound check, and in the meantime, we were hearing about you are studying opera right now. And Emmet, I mean, you are Ireland's number one tenor, right? That you were that's what you I know you as, or you were voted that, or I don't know how that comes up. And you were also involved in many things since you were a child. And were you part of Celtic Thunder, Emmet?
Yeah, I suppose to bring it back to sort of my beginnings in America, and indeed across Canada and Australia, it was with Celtic Thunder, and so I joined the show in 2011, and that was my real introduction to audiences this side of the pond, and it gave me a great platform. Celtic Thunder, our shows air on PBS somewhere every day of the year. It was a massive hit for PBS, and we're going to be touring towards the end of the year. We kind of took a little bit of a hiatus through kind of last year and the last 18 months. People went and worked on other things, and I've kind of been in and out, as you know, Jeffrey. I did a few years and then went to pursue my solo thing for a while, and did a couple of tours in the interim with them, but that was the start of it for me, and I suppose I suppose it was a bit of a soft landing, I guess, into this whole world of touring, because prior to that I had just been in college studying classical music, and I did 1 year of my undergrad and then got an opportunity to join Celtic Thunder and go to America on tour, and those offers were very enticing, as you can imagine. Gave me, something that I never thought I would do, and that was really the catalyst for everything that I'm doing now. And then I suppose once I started doing my solo touring, and I ended up kind of coming full circle back around to singing in churches again, because that's what I had done, prior to college, prior to Celtic Thunder. That had been kind of a big part of my life, and to be able to, I suppose, combine, singing in churches, working with communities of faith. My dad was a choir director, music director, and they were my first memories of music. To combine that with what I do on a day-to-day basis, so in many ways, sort of bringing just a big part of me around the entire country, and getting to do that every day was something that I in my, I suppose in any perfect world I couldn't have, constructed. It was just something that just happened, and that's what the majority of my time now at tour is spent doing that, and not least down in West Palm Beach and Coral Springs, and we were in Hope Sound before, and we were in, even that little cluster of places in one area. We've met so many wonderful people, and so from beginnings of Celtic Thunder and doing that and TBS, and coming right round to theatres and right round then to churches, it's been pretty interesting, actually, to see how it's not maybe been the most typical career in music, as you can imagine. So
I think it's wonderful, and ultimately for me it's really about the music, and as you know, Emmet, I'm very involved in as a singer, but also as an educator, and we have a vocal academy down here in South Florida, in Boca Raton, Florida, and online.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I know through email you and I have gone back and forth about potentially maybe next year doing a master class performance here at the academy, and that would be exciting if we can.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Oh my gosh,
that'd be fantastic, and I think music is hugely important, and we see the significance of it, even for people who don't necessarily want to become a professional musician, or to be honest with you, when I was a kid, even up to probably to the age of 20, I never even thought about doing music for a living. I wasn't one of those kids who dreamed of being on stage or wants to go on, some of these, music reality TV shows, or wanted to, I was not a stage kid. I was very, probably much more of an introvert, much more on the shy side especially about music. Music was kind of just something I liked to do for me, and whilst I sang in church and did some stuff with my family, I was always doing it within that sort of safe environment, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
So, but now I see the significance of, okay, I've developed, skills in terms of performing and, hopefully, engaging with audiences. But a big part of what I do, and Jeffrey, maybe you got a sense of this when you came to the show, was talking about music in the real world, not talking about music in terms of it being just a piece of entertainment, something on the surface level. Music, and you go back to music education, like an education in even the most basic form of music can have a residual positive effect in so many aspects of people's lives, in terms of, learning how to work with a team, learning how to maybe be calmer in situations, learning how to, like my sister, for example, is a music therapist. She uses music to help people with special needs and autism, challenging behavior, and even early diagnosis of autism with, babies and moms, and, and using, like, music is this, we all know what it does to us when it's our favorite song comes on, and whether that's sacred music, secular, rock, jazz, whatever it is, whatever does it for you. It's kind of inexplicable, to be honest. I think it's the one thing that we don't fully understand why it does what it does to us. And it is a therapy, to go back to my sister, her as an example. So I think that's actually a much more important thing than me trying to be an entertainer. Given what I'm doing, I talk about music through faith, and people come up to me and say, I need to listen to this song because it connects me to someone that I've lost, my husband or my mom or whoever it is. Sure. It's the amazing ability of music is a conduit for so many other things in our life. So, I think that's probably, most important aspect of anyone having a platform to perform music. That's a much more important element of it, I think, than the kind of, I'm here to entertain you. I don't really see it like that.
Oh yeah, we really see eye to eye on that, Emmet. Yeah. Completely agree.
Yeah, well said.
Well said, in all counts. Music is I always describe it as simply as a gift from God. It's a gift, and it's so profound. I think we may potentially just be scratching the surface of the power and the beauty of the gift of music. And Emmet, going back to your performance last year, you were singing to a packed house. And by the way, if you want to see Emmet Cahill, Ireland's #1 tenor, you will be blessed if you go and check him out at his shows and get a ticket early, because the place that when I went out there, it was packed. And fortunately, I had tickets in advance. Oh, and by the way, Jackson, I forgot to mention.
Yeah, we
have 2 tickets for Emmet's show down here.
Awesome.
And I think you're going to be down in, I'm trying to remember now from the email. There was one is in Palm Beach, and the other is down
it's in Coral Springs.
Coral Springs.
We're at Holy Name of Jesus in West Palm Beach, where some of your listeners may have seen us before. And then we're in Elizabeth Ann Seton Church down in Coral Springs. I mean, all the info is on the site. But the interesting thing about Elizabeth Ann Seton is that Father Kelly, who's there now, and was there, really built the church, really built it from the ground up.
Wow.
Got the whole our community going. He's from my hometown in Mullingar, and I didn't realize till I walked into the church.
Oh my
goodness! The first time we stayed there, so
amazing.
That's awesome.
Small world. You never know where the Irish are going to pop up. So that was
it's a beautiful parish.
An example of that.
I know exactly where that is, Emmet.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, my wife grew up going to St. Andrews, which is pretty close by there, and we live pretty close to St. Elizabeth actually, we're at Mass there probably not much over a month ago. Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. What a beautiful place.
Yeah, and they're a great community. A lady called Louise Ditto is there. She's the kind of parish administrator, and they have a great team. And that's kind of what I'm talking about in terms of, if it wasn't for music and probably the influence of my dad and music through faith growing up, I would have, I never would have met these people. I never would have heard about amazing work that's going on in communities, and the focal point, inevitably, especially when it comes to non-profit or charity work or stuff that galvanizes communities together, is communities of faith, and any ways of keeping that, not only keeping it alive, but I suppose allowing it to continue to thrive is very important. It's kind of I'm just not talking about myself, but anyone in music that kind of maybe works in that kind of a circle. It's the interesting thing, people say about what's the most satisfying thing about what you do, and is that, well, I'm aware and I've been told that, I have a very positive effect when I, perform and sing and all that. But being able to see sort of the tangible results in front of you as you're singing or as you're performing is something I count myself very lucky for, because you know, people who do incredible work, you know, whether it's through charities or through, you know, anything from whatever, cancer research to you know, medicine, to maybe working with youth in communities, you don't always get to see the results of what you did, because sometimes it takes 5, 10 years, 6 months, whatever it is, after you've maybe been there and done your thing for, you know, things to materialize. But for me, it's funny, I can literally see, you know, whether someone's sitting there, you know, immersed in a piece of music, or they're crying, or they're laughing, or they're, whatever they are, and they're feeling it. It's literally, it's a sort of subconscious impulsive response to something that I'm doing, and you see the reaction straight away. And I kind of, you know, not that I get too distracted by it, but I certainly, it's something I don't take for granted. It's kind of, it's quite a unique thing about music, and maybe other, if you go into other maybe forms of therapy, or like I talked to my sister about her work, and you know, you have your breakthrough moments with someone, but that may be once every 18 months, whereas something with music, you know, it's kind of there in the moment, which is very cool. And indeed, so what I do is maybe a snapshot of what happens in these communities all year round, helping people in maybe difficult situations. Or, you know, I've done stuff where we've had, you know, food drives and charity fund, like these concerts are fundraisers for the communities of faith, and for the ongoing work that they do. And I get to hear about that too. I mean, there's no other platform. If I was in a mainstream platform of music, I wouldn't be hearing about why we're, you know, fundraising to help these people. Like we've been in situations where we've helped a church in Houston literally get rebuilt after it was destroyed by floods. So it's kind of, it's a very interesting part of the whole, you know, of that whole side of music.
That's great. I'm really happy that your people reached out to us last year, and I'm so grateful that we're hearing from you again today, Emmet, and that you're back in South Florida with your beautiful voice. And for those who are interested in seeing Emmet Cahill here in South Florida, we have 2 complimentary tickets, and you can reach out to us at contact@pylpodcast.com. Contact@PYL, that's for Praise You Lord. Contact@pylpodcast.com. And for those who are listening in for the first time, I'd just like to say howdy. We are Praise You Lord, and we are an underground independent Catholic Christian radio broadcast brought to you by the grace of God, by the power of your prayer, the Praise You Lord community prayer. If you're listening for the first time, welcome to the community. And we pray for one another, and we encourage one another, and we try to bring good news and great artists through music and through testimony. And we're so grateful to have Emmet Cahill, Ireland's #1 tenor, in on the broadcast again. And I must say, if you can get a ticket to his show, I really, really recommend you go check out Emmet's shows wherever you are. We're being broadcast in Missouri. We're being broadcast in Kansas. We're being broadcast in Colorado, all over those states, and in the Treasure Coast of Florida, as well as the Palm Beaches here in South Florida. Get out and see Emmet Cahill. You'll be blessed 100%. And for whoever reaches out to us through our email, contact@pylpodcast.com, you can get 2 complimentary tickets for not only his show, but a meet and greet comes with that. So you'll actually be able to perhaps take a picture and say hi to Emmet after the show. Did I read that email correctly, do you think? Emmet?
Yeah, so we actually we do our meet and greet actually just prior to the show, and usually it's a you know, in a, you know, room side or something. We might have, you know, 30-40 people, and it's a kind of a Q&A, kind of get to know you thing.
Cool.
And sometimes when I do this, I realize that people know more about me than I do. But yeah, it's a fun thing, you know. We get to hang out, and people ask me, all sorts of questions, everything from the sublime to the ridiculous and in between. So it's always a bit of fun and
awesome.
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't realize, obviously you guys broadcast everywhere. We actually, the final show of this tour in March is in St. Louis, Missouri, and we plan to get over to Colorado in May, and we're all over. It's
awesome.
As I said, I've been very blessed to be able to do this, and indeed, I remember we worked in a Light of the World Church in a place called Littleton, just outside Denver. We're at Manchester United Methodist in St. Louis, and all wonderful communities doing great work, and they also have great music programs as well. So when I go in, it's great. You get to work with these choirs, and it's kind of every day is like, I remember my dad doing this with our choir at home, and we would have guest singers come in and do stuff, and it's kind of a role reversal for me. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
Fantastic. Well, again, if you're listening to Praise You Lord, or even on the podcast, and we have podcast listeners all over the place, including worldwide, get out to see Emmet Cahill. We're going to be playing one of his songs shortly, and it's a beautiful, beautiful recording. You can buy his records as well. Emmet, how do people get your records?
What's the best way? I suppose my website is pretty good. We have our Ireland album with us on this tour, and the one I did with Sony recently. And I'm hoping to work on a new record now this year. That's the other side of touring. It takes a lot of your time, and but I when I get off the road, I really want to get another album in the works, and down the line. I mean, it's funny because of my shows. There's quite a variety of Irish to some secular, theatre music, and also lots of sacred music, as you know, Jeffrey, from being at the show. It's people say to me, we'd love to do an all sacred album or an all Broadway album or whatever. So I always say, well, I have them all planned out, so I'm definitely set for about 15 years of albums, but it's always fun, and we I must say we do a thing in our show where we take song requests. I have an amazing accompanist, Seamus Brett, and he can literally play anything in any key, and he's one of those
so cool
kind of crazy piano geniuses. And
awesome.
we take song requests, and he puts them in a list, and he doesn't tell me what order he's doing them in. He doesn't tell me what keys he's playing them in, and I have to literally from the musical interludes. And the musical interludes, I have to guess what's next. And he never played the tune, so he'll always play a slight variation or a chord progression, and I have to guess. So it keeps my musical intuition sharp, and it's a really fun part of the show. So I think it's quite unique for maybe a tenor show. Usually all these things are kind of planned out. I know maybe people who won't get up and sing unless they know exactly what they're doing, but
sure.
I kind of I enjoy the ad lib of it and the challenge of it,
That was one of my favorite parts of your show. I'm glad that you're continuing to do that, Emmet. However, the thing that I enjoyed the most is the quality of your voice. I personally, Emmet, I've sung with Celine Dion. I've practiced. I've been in the same room as her, without a microphone, with Reba McEntire. I sang with the Boston Pops for 6 years. And I was on the short list of kind of go-to guys in Boston for a few things, including piano and so on, but definitely for voice when people came into town if they needed someone. So, and my sister is also a phenomenal opera singer and an educator now in the universities up in Massachusetts and Boston. So I grew up around music. My father was an orchestra leader. We had people by the house who were famous growing up. I've been around great singers. Emmet, I love your voice. I love your voice. You have a wonderful,
thank you very much. You're very,
wonderful.
Very
oh my gosh, I just love it, and it's incredible on recording. And folks, you're going to hear that soon. Coming up will be one of Emmet's songs, and you can buy his records. Go. I'm sure you're on Spotify and so on too, right? When the streaming. That's always an option.
Yeah, we're on the streaming platforms and website, and I mean YouTube. Actually, it's weird. My audience love going on for some reason with my music, it seems to be a sort of a sit and watch and listen thing, and people like to go on YouTube and get concert clips and get if anyone's thinking about coming to see us, there's loads of stuff there. Those requests, if you YouTube search Emmet Cahill request medley, you're going to find some wacky stuff, but it's a lot of fun, and everything from sacred music to Irish music to, I can't even remember what we did the night you were there, Jeffrey, but it's people throw out, really, and it's also a way of discovering new music too, so
sure.
We love that, and but listen, you're very kind to say that, but as I said, we love what we do, and as I said, using music and using the songs to kind of go beyond just an entertainment level, to kind of make people sit and be still for a while, think, and very much as an escape, because I think that's what we all kind of, no matter how wonderful our lives are, personal lives or whatever, how happy we are in our daily wanderings, I think being sort of forced to kind of sit still and just be present and I have a little bit of an escape is good for us now and again. And I always say that to people, we're just going to go on a little journey now and come with us, and we'll get you back safely. But it's, we like to take people on a musical journey, and I think that's what people really enjoy about the show.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes. So Emmet Cahill, just I mean, I've heard Emmet. I've been around great voices, right? That was what I was trying to get the point. And great musicians too, but you are right up there, man. I'm telling you, Emmet Cahill's got the voice. You want to hear a great voice? There's nothing like hearing, in my experience personally, hearing a real voice sing a song without anything in between. No computer in between, no changing the pitch or anything like that, which is so common, particularly, in our day. And to just be in a hall, be in a church, wherever the show may be, and hear the vibration of the human voice with such excellence and such a gift of God. God has clearly gifted you with this. But furthermore, Emmet, and I really wanted to get into this. You continue. I mean, you sounded amazing. You sounded amazing last year, and you're telling me you're studying really hard with your voice right now. So I can't even imagine how good it's going to be this year. So tell us about that. And I think that's really encouraging, Emmet, for me, and also can be encouraging to a lot of folks. A lot of people do not know how much work there is in maintaining our voice and getting to a certain level, and then as you said earlier, when we were doing the sound check too, that there's always something to learn. Could you just kind of let us know about what you're doing currently and your philosophy and your experience on that?
So I mean, a couple of years ago, I started working with a voice teacher in New York to kind of. He would more specialize in training opera singers. I've obviously always had a big classical element to my voice, while I can sing the Irish folk stuff and sing stuff that's a little bit more, I suppose, on the lighter side. My beginnings were in classical music, and I studied for a brief time. And I had always wondered, I guess, when I stopped training and I just was touring for 7-8 years, I had always wondered, how, whilst people are very kind about their comments, I often wondered, could this be better? And boy, was I in for an awakening, because I mean, when your voice is your instrument, it's a very different thing. You can become a great musician, and as you get better, you can maybe buy a slightly better, you can get a better instrument, or there's all those things. Not to kind of discount skills of musicians. That's a different discipline and has other demands. But when your voice is which is a big part of your body changes as you get older. As particularly as men, you develop more, and you mature maybe a little bit later in terms of your vocal maturity. So I had often wondered, whilst this is working fine in one domain, if I ever wanted to pursue, a career in classical music, would it be good enough? Would it be? And I suspected not. And then I went and started studying with this teacher, and he basically, in the nicest way possible, took my voice apart and is patching it back together again, but is kind of teaching me. I've had to kind of relearn everything. Now, the one thing you can't teach is maybe, is musical intuition. Is, you can take someone and give them the best voice in the world, but if they don't have, I suppose, an awareness about what, if they're not a performer, if they don't have an awareness of audiences, of an energy in a room, of what their voice could do, or how they tell a story, bring an honesty to performing a song. I don't care how good your voice is. Ultimately, you got to be a great communicator. You got to be someone who can be honest about it. But right. For me, definitely, just learning more about the instrument that I have can never be a bad thing. And there's been huge changes in my voice, in terms of what we would do a show. Suddenly everything was going up 3 keys, and I was able to do all these things that I would have maybe struggled with prior to now. And you hear comments back from people, they don't always have the right vocabulary, but they certainly say, wow, it's just more resonant, or there's something really clear and relaxing about everything you do now. Not that they were ever sort of worried before, but certainly, I'm singing higher, I'm able to command more demanding music, I guess. And I'm not really someone who likes to sit still or is ever really content. I think, I'm just one of those people. Now, that has good and bad things attached to it, because I find it hard to be fully satisfied with what I'm doing. I'm always looking to either take on a new challenge or improve what I'm doing at the moment. It's kind of funny. I was listening to a podcast recently, and there was a guy on talking about when people talk about their life in retrospect, and particularly the things that they're proud of. So if you had a list of all the things that you're kind of proud of in your life and what you achieved, it's just a big list of your suffering. It's a big list of things that you have to suffer through, to like your CV, or if you went to write your memoirs, it'd be a big list of all your, it's just a big list of all your suffering and all the things you struggle. Yeah, it is, but it's true, and we all need that. We actually need suffering. We need things that, anything that challenges you, that kind of makes you really, really have to put the work in, or really maybe question, God, should I be doing this, or is this something that I'm actually good enough to do? And believe me, I've happily, well, I wouldn't say happily, suffered quite a bit in my singing lessons. But you come out, as you said, on the other side. Like, there's days you go in and you think, God, I have no idea how to sing, and then you have this breakthrough, you have this moment, you're like, wow, did I just do that? So for the one, moment of bliss now and again, it's worth it. So, and then, as I said, when I go out on tour and I kind of show this new voice, per se, I think it's lovely to hear. Not that I'm not someone who kind of gets too wrapped up in, oh, did people clap tonight, or did I hear this comment back? I went and did this for me, to be honest, guys. That's why I went and started sitting with this teacher. I knew I could be a better singer. I knew it. I'm still working on it, and it only brings up the standard of what I do on tour. So.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Thank you for embellishing on that subject. I think that's so helpful to hear that, and a lot of people, like I said, I'm working with a lot of singers and have been for many years now, and a lot of times, Emmet, people in Jackson, people come in to the studio and they just don't get it. They don't understand how much work is involved in building one's voice and breaking down bad technique, breaking down bad habits. as well as growing. And as you said, Emmet, very well put. We change with time, we mature with time, we're different physiologically with time. So, man, that was so well put. I really appreciate you speaking about that.
Yeah, I think it's important to for me, it's maybe a reflection on how much I care about what's going out there, like how much, you have to really, a big part of being a singer is actually having a genuine care for your audience. Now, not that I get to know every single person and their life story and try to fix their life, but having that caring awareness about, wanting the standard of what you're doing, firstly, to be as good as it can be, so people feel like they're experiencing something. Wow, this is something, like there's the layers of entertainment, then there's, wow, that's impressive, but going beyond that, then, so wow, this is really making me think, or this is really bringing me closer to someone, or it's bringing me back to, like, the amazing thing about music is that it connects us to our memories, a person in your life, maybe that you've lost, or a moment, or a place, or just a memory that, whilst it's gone, it's long gone, we know the human nature, we love to relive, particularly the special moments, we love to relive those, and why shouldn't we do that? And we use, you can use anything from, particularly connecting yourself to maybe to loved ones. You can use anything from prayer to music, to all of the forms of things. Like, why do people go to a church to feel closer to God? There's this kind of there's a solitude about being there in a moment. They're not doing it in aisle 4 of Walmart. They're going to a church because there's a solitude there. There's something that there's an environment that they need. There's a stillness that they need to feel that connectedness. And I think, the show is, there's high energy stuff, there's lower energy stuff, but certainly what I try to bring is a sense of stillness about things, and then I kind of, whilst I say, okay, I'm going to try and bring you on a musical journey, every single person in the that comes to one of my shows, they all have their own unique experience of what that experience was. So I can't dictate to someone, say, this is what you're going to get out of tonight, this is what you're going to go away feeling. I cannot dictate that, right? No more than I can dictate, when I sing the song, you're going to think about this. It's very personal. I just have to kind of be the conduit, let the music be the conduit, and then wherever you go with that, whatever you feel, whatever person you feel closer to at that, after listening to a particular song or a lyric or whatever it is, that's your, I suppose, that's up to you. And that's why I think people feel such a personal element to music, because there's very few things that allow them to do that.
Right. Yeah. Great point.
It is.
Great point. Really well put. We've really gone even over time a little bit here. Emmet Cahill, Ireland's #1 tenor, phenomenal singer, friend of the program. So great to have you in again.
Such a blessing.
Man, I'm telling you, I could talk to you all day, I feel like, Emmet.
Definitely.
Well, thank you guys. It's been a pleasure talking to you, as always. And we're thrilled to be able to, I feel blessed to be able to do what I do, and to be able to come back to Florida again, to see people and travel all over the country and get to do this is it's something I certainly don't take for granted, and I love doing, and I'll keep doing it as long as people want to come and listen to us do it.
That's great.
Wonderful. Well, just to timestamp it for those who are listening out in the future, this is Praise You Lord, number, I believe, 136. Did we just establish that? Yeah. Yep. And this is with Emmet Cahill. And we are broadcasting on the 20 radio stations on this date, which is, I believe, the leap year, right? This is the 29th, is it?
Yep.
Yeah, the 29th of February. Imagine that, Emmet. The Lord ordained it that we do it on the 29th of February and of 2020.
Yep.
2020 with Emmet Cahill. Emmet, thank you again for being in on the broadcast. Please stay tuned. We're going to be playing his song Panis Angelicus, and right after that we have another special guest, Joe Cosas, who's the keyboard player for John Anderson of Yes, and also Joe is also a friend of the program, and he's also a great keyboardist that plays in gospel Catholic choirs. And so we're going to listen to a new song of his, so please stay tuned. Let's listen to Panis Angelicus. But before we say goodbye, Emmet, I just wanted again to thank you, and if it's okay, since we're broadcasting right now and recording the show, if I could just say my goodbyes, or maybe shoot you a text and keep in touch after the at another time. And
absolutely, guys, and thanks so much for having us. And Jackson, thanks so much as well. And
For sure.
It's been really great speaking with you guys, and thanks for having me on to chat about it. And we'll hopefully see you guys very soon. And
Definitely.
I'm looking forward to seeing some of your listeners in the not too distant future.
Absolutely, Emmet. Thank you so
you,
much.
Emmet.
God bless you, and we pray for your safety and your continued success. So we're big fans here of Emmet Cahill, and so grateful to have you in on the program, Emmet. Thank you,
Emmet.
and without further ado,
thanks, guys.
Yes, thank you. And without further ado, here it is, Panis Angelicus by Emmet Cahill.
Panis Angelicus, fit panis hominum, dat panis celicus figuris terminum. Ores mirabilis manducat Dominum, pauper servus et humilis, pauper servus et humilis. Panis Angelicus, fit panis hominum, dat panis celicus figuris terminum. Ores mirabilis manducat Dominum, pauper servus et humilis, pauper servus et humilis.
Emmet Cahill, and that was Panis Angelicus. And wow, what a great interview that we had there
awesome.
with Emmet, such a lovely gentleman and a phenomenal singer. Go out and see his show. He's going to be down here in South Florida, and you can check that out on his websites. I know he has a lot of followers on Twitter, I had observed, so he's easy to find. He's Ireland's #1 tenor, Emmet Cahill, Cahill. And without further ado, we have our special guest, Joe Cosas, as promised, and we're so excited. Joe, I think we have you on the phone. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
Yes.
we can now. Yes, sir. Joe Cosas,
All right.
full of energy. How's Joe Cosas doing today?
I'm faking it. I'm not a morning person, and I had some vitamin B, and I'm working on a cup of coffee, and I'm
Good.
totally faking it right now.
All right, well,
I'm glad I fooled you.
do you have
You
your
did.
seatbelt on, Joe?
My seatbelt on. Inside joke from last time.
Well, you never know. It could be a really super exciting broadcast, and
That's true.
we must prepare. At least.
All right. Well, I was about to say I'm going to make this as boring as I possibly can.
Tone it down, Joe.
Hey, listen. Safety first, Joe. Safety first.
Safety first, and I'm going to do my best to put you guys to sleep.
Oh my gosh, that is. I think the effort will be there, but it just might be not possible.
Yeah, it's not possible.
Joe Cosas' energy surplus.
fun.
Oh my gosh.
Too much fun.
Too much fun. Too much. Anyone that can go out and tour with John Anderson on keyboards and then go play a gospel gig at a Catholic church.
It's a great
you got to be a man of many hats to be able to do that, brother.
I have to interject if you don't mind for a second. So I was
Yes.
just over at
Yes.
my
Yes.
one of my parishes, St. Joseph, down in St. Petersburg,
You missed my joke,
Florida.
Joe.
And can you hear me?
Yeah, Joe. You missed my joke, man.
Oh.
I said yes. We don't. The drums are right on the other side of the window
Yeah,
here.
you
in
can't
our
reach
studio.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, you won't be able to hear it. You'd hear.
True.
You wouldn't hear anything. Anyways,
Sorry.
I have a drum set here too. Okay.
Good.
Thank God.
But it's it's in my other room. So
Okay, same problem.
quasi touche.
Okay.
Anyways,
Yes.
oh my gosh, Jeffrey.
Yes.
All right. So I was over at St. Joseph last night, St. Petersburg, Florida.
Okay.
And we had a hip hop concert last night.
That's awesome.
Really?
And
At St. Joseph's?
yeah, at St. Joseph.
Wow.
And unfortunately, I had a gig like right down the street from them right at that time. So I couldn't attend it, but I helped set it up.
Wow.
And I helped tear it down. They said it went really well.
Awesome.
They had John Levi from Found Nation performed there, and they recently did 2019 World Youth Day down in Panama.
Cool.
But he's based out of Tampa. His home parish is Nativity, which is a large parish in the Brandon area, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Basically Tampa.
Yeah.
If you're not from Tampa, it's Tampa, and if you're from Tampa, it's not
Brandon.
Tampa.
Yeah.
If you're from Tampa, it's Brandon, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyways, I know you spent some time in Tampa a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Anyways,
my brother played a lot of baseball throughout Florida in college. And
Yeah.
and I have good friends out there. But Joe, let's get to your song, man. I can't wait. I've been waiting to
let's
play
do
Joe Cosas' version of "Come Thou Font." Just like such a unique, incredible,
It's so much
unusual,
fun, Joe. It is.
and fun. Yeah, fun's a great word. Tell us if you could give us like just maybe a minute or two synopsis of how you came up with this, and then maybe we can speak a little bit about it after we play it.
Absolutely. I have two short stories to tell. First of all, we sang it at a Bible study, and we actually tried singing it in five. The song's usually in 6 or 3, however you want to count it, and it worked just with like a bunch of non-musicians, and I was like, wow, there's like this really nice, easy, just flowiness to doing "Come Thou Fountain" 5.
Yeah.
And then at that point in time, that's story one. Story two is at that point in time, I was into Dirty Loops, which is a Swedish trio, and they have a bunch of great YouTube videos and inspiring stuff on the internet. That's basically like jazz fusion, goodness all around. So I was trying to incorporate that all in one, and I'm also into drum and bass. So
yeah. Right on.
There you go.
Can hear it. That's awesome.
All right, so we're gonna play this, and just as a reminder, Joe, while this is playing, you won't hear it, but we'll all have live mics, so we'll be listening quietly here, and then we'll let you know when it's it's 3 minutes and 21 seconds. So here it is. This is Joe Cosas. Right. Has this ever been played on air before, Joe? Is this a debut? Maybe not sure, right? To
my recollection, this is the first time.
Awesome. Nice. So that makes for a better program, Joe. Yeah. Thanks, man.
Hey, I'm trying here.
Yeah. This is the debut of Joe Cosas, Come Thou Font, and here it comes. You've never heard that before on the radio. That's for sure. Jackson and I were trying to figure out what other radio broadcast would be playing music like Joe Cosas or
awesome,
Sean O'Brien Smith, and then sandwiched in Emmet Cahill. That's called independent radio, brothers and sisters. Independent Catholic Christian radio right there. Freedom. Where there is the Spirit, there is
freedom. Amen.
Man, that is a great song.
That was awesome.
Now, Joe, as I'm listening to
Cool,
it
thank you.
in my headphones, I got some nice headphones on today, and I heard it differently. I've listened to your song several times and love it.
Thank you.
Yes, and the thing that and knowing you, Joe, I know you're a multi-instrumentalist because that's how I know that about you. And as I'm listening to the bass and drums, what the heck was that all about? I mean, are you playing bass and drums on that, man? Did you program that?
No, I'm not doing drums or bass. That's my friend JT, Jonathan Thomas, who plays in Ascend the Hill. And he is, and he's just awesome, a beast of a player. Ascend the Hill is pretty well known in the Protestant realm, as Jackson just perked up there.
Totally.
But they put out this.
Jackson has a seatbelt on, otherwise he would have fallen out of his seat there.
Yeah, I know. It's funny, Jeff, just on a side, Joe. When you first started Praise You Lord, do you remember I brought you a whole bunch? Yeah. That's one of the bands that I brought you in the past. And Joe, right there, we were.
Oh, really?
Isn't that funny? So we had thought about doing it, but then we ran into the whole, we weren't sure what we should play and shouldn't play. But I had one of their albums and brought it to Jeff when all this started.
Well, we intended to originally our show started off with the idea that we were going to play anything, but then where the radio station we started on, which by the way is 98.3 FM, the Catholic Voice of the Palm Beaches, and they are doing a fundraiser, and they could use your help. So reach out to them, 98.3 FM, WPBVradio.com, and you can donate there. They definitely need finances, and part of the reason why we went to this format was they were like, well, we can't play music that we need a license for. And they said this to me, we know you're a songwriter, why don't you do a show about your music? And I'm like, I think that might be kind of boring. A whole show every week of my own music. I was like, I don't know if that's a good idea. I think I say probably not a good idea. And
you should do it of my music because I'm more boring.
Yeah. Just another hour of Joe Cosas. Again.
Another.
Episode number 136. More songs from Joe Cosas on repeat. Okay. Okay.
Put your kids to sleep.
So Joe, we're running again close to the time here. But man, what about the bass? What was going on there?
It's awesome.
So that's my friend John Shea playing bass. On the album, I do play bass quite a bit, but for that song, that's John Shea. He's a local Tampa player.
Man, awesome. Can you send that album over to me, man? I want to check it out.
Yeah, I'll send it over to you, man.
Awesome. Well, we're running close to the end of our broadcast, and we do promise, Joe, we want you back in.
Yeah, we got to.
I think we just should have Joe as like a permanent guest, man.
Hey,
Joe's full.
Every couple of weeks, Joe.
We'll just be like, Joe. Joe, you got to come in more often, man.
I will, and I'll try my hardest to put everybody to sleep.
Just do your best, Joe.
Well, that's great because we do need to tone it down to a certain level, Joe.
Yeah.
Joe, listen, man, so great to speak with you. Thank you.
Hey, absolutely.
Yeah, man, thanks so much. And for the listeners out there, God bless you and your families. Thanks to Emmet Cahill as well. And this is Praise You Lord number 136. Thanks to all the radio stations. Thanks to the Praise You Lord community. Keep praying for us. We really need it. God bless you and your families. And most of all, praise you, Lord.